You have crossed the invisible border, though you may not recall when the moment truly happened. One instant, the world seemed simple, a straight line of days, a predictable pattern of choices and outcomes. Then something tilted. A door you didn't know existed opened somewhere inside you, and suddenly the edges of your reality began to soften. You felt it, didn't you? The sense that space itself had gained depth, that life was no longer flat but layered, like translucent veils drifting one behind another, each hiding a deeper shimmer of truth. Most people stop at the surface. They call it life and trace it as a sequence of cause and effect, unaware of the vast architecture beneath. They repeat habits, replay familiar reactions, and never suspect that behind their linear routines, multiple dimensions vibrate at once. But you have started to notice the cracks. Through them, strange light filters in. Coincidences repeat, numbers align, whispers of intuition grow louder, and when you follow them, they lead you exactly where you were meant to be. Imagine your consciousness as a radio. For years, it was tuned to one frequency, the signal of ordinary reality. Everyone around you broadcast on that same channel, so you assumed it was the only one that existed. But now, without effort, other signals begin to bleed through. A vivid dream feels like a message from somewhere beyond the timeline. A thought flashes through you and manifests as an event. You sense your future self standing behind you, quietly guiding your steps. These are not fantasies. They are echoes from deeper layers of awareness, what science hints at through the quantum field, what mystics call the unseen realm. Every possibility, every version of you already exists. Until now, your perception could hold only one at a time, but when the lock dissolves, the horizon multiplies. Suddenly, you see paths not yet walked, but already alive within potential. Synchronicities multiply not as luck, but as confirmation that you've pierced the thin surface separating dream from waking. The universe is whispering in symbols, in moments, in repetition, reminding you that you are in the field. And with that realization comes the first challenge. The old mind tries to pull you back, insisting it's coincidence, illusion, chance. But the deeper current has already claimed you. What happens next depends on one thing: your willingness to keep seeing. The moment you decide to keep seeing, the surface begins to shimmer. What once appeared solid now reveals fine cracks, reflections within reflections. The world you trusted as permanent starts behaving like a mirror that both reveals and conceals, showing you what you believe instead of what truly is. For so long, you assumed this mirror was fixed, its images unquestionable. But as perception expands, you discover that reality itself bends according to the light of your awareness. We were taught to think of life as a tidy sequence: cause, effect, consequence, an endless chain of motion bound by time. Yet beneath that simplicity lies another design, not mechanical but alive, woven from vibration rather than certainty. The physicist calls it a field, the mystic calls it a web, and you begin to feel it. It hums beneath thought, a silent frequency that answers the rhythm of your attention. When your emotions scatter, you notice events follow suit. When calm returns, the world reorganizes. It's as though the outer mirror cannot help but imitate your inner climate. At first, this seems impossible, but the proof arrives quietly. A message appears when you need it most. A stranger says what you were thinking. An obstacle dissolves once you release frustration. It's not magic, it's coherence. Picture your awareness as light meeting a cracked mirror. Each shard reflects a slightly different self, one strong, one fearful, one still waiting for permission to change. When you live fragmented, you meet chaos. When your attention gathers into stillness, the shards align into a single reflection, clear and radiant. The mirror itself has not altered. Your relationship with it has. Reality becomes fluid, sensitive to your tone, obedient not to command but to presence. And yet, the mind wants to seize control. It whispers, "If my thoughts create my world, then I must manage every thought." That is how the mirror fogs again. Control tightens the flow that awareness needs to breathe. The truth is more subtle. You don't command reflections. You become the vibration they respond to. The field rearranges itself not through demand, but through resonance. Imagine water so still it mirrors the sky. A single ripple distorts everything. When you breathe, the motion subsides, and the image of heaven returns effortlessly. The same applies to consciousness. When fear stirs, the world bends to its shape. When you soften, the reflection clears. This is not theory, it's experiment, and you are both scientist and subject, witnessing proof in real time. Every belief acts like a tone in that reflective field. Think life is random, and disorder gathers to confirm it. Think life is communicating, and the pattern responds with synchronicity. The universe is not a backdrop, it is a participatory dialogue. It listens not to words, but to frequencies. And what you emit through thought, emotion, breath returns amplified. As this realization settles, the hypnosis of repetition begins to crack. The routines that once defined you tremble and blur. You start asking different questions. Why do I follow this rhythm? Who told me what was possible? Who benefits from my forgetting? The cracks widen. You glimpse hallways behind the mirror, parallel rooms of reality running beside your own. Fear may arise, yes, but wonder quickly overtakes it, because with every layer revealed, life feels larger, not smaller. Awareness stops being a spectator sport. It becomes a kind of participation, a creative act woven into the fabric of existence. You are not merely reflected by the mirror, you are the mirror, learning to see itself from countless angles. And just as that realization dawns, the first unmistakable signs appear. Repeating numbers, strange timing, voices echoing your thoughts before you speak them. The field is calling your name, and this time it expects an answer. And the answer begins not in words, but in noticing. The first time it happens, you almost dismiss it, a clock flashing the same numbers, a song playing the exact phrase you needed to hear, a stranger repeating a sentence you whispered only to yourself the night before. But it keeps happening. The pattern repeats until coincidence no longer satisfies as explanation. Something larger is speaking through the small. These are the signs of the field, the subtle dialect of the quantum realm communicating in rhythm instead of logic. Most people miss them because they search for grand miracles, unaware that the universe prefers whispers to thunder. It arranges moments with surgical precision, a delay that saves you, a detour that introduces you, a loss that frees you for something your conscious mind couldn't plan. You start to understand that reality is responsive, not passive, not cruelly random, but participatory. Imagine that the fabric of existence is woven from invisible threads of frequency, and every thought, every emotion plucks one of those threads. When you are aligned, the thread hums in harmony with the web. When you are divided, it tangles. Synchronicity, then, is the sound of harmony returning reality, adjusting itself to your coherence. At first, these signs feel like interruptions, as though the universe is intruding on your private timeline. But soon you see they are corrections, gentle nudges from an intelligence that notices your trajectory and realigns you before you drift too far. A number sequence, a random encounter, a repeating word, each carries the same message. You are being guided. It's tempting to catalog them, to treat them as a secret code to decipher. But the point isn't the symbol, it's the state of awareness it triggers. The field speaks not to the mind, but to attention itself. The moment you pause, breathe, and recognize the signal, something shifts within you. A door clicks open and the next event unfolds with uncanny smoothness. You may wonder if these are projections of your imagination, echoes from your own psyche, and in a way, they are, but only because the psyche and the universe are not separate. They are two instruments resonating in the same chamber. Your inner vibration sets the rhythm. The outer world responds as echo. The mystery lies not in how the field speaks, but in how precisely it matches your internal song. Think of those moments when you're lost in thought, yet suddenly a sign appears that feels impossibly timed, a book falling open to the perfect page, a sentence overheard that dissolves doubt, an unexpected call that redirects your life. These are not intrusions, they are alignments. The field is showing you that awareness itself has gravity. When you observe with openness instead of control, the universe bends to meet your gaze. You begin to realize the difference between coincidence and correspondence. Coincidence implies accident, correspondence implies relationship. Synchronicity is relationship made visible, a mirror between thought and circumstance, soul and cosmos. Each repetition is an invitation to trust your resonance more deeply, to stop asking why and start asking, what is this teaching me about my frequency? Soon, you notice the rhythm tightening. Signs arrive faster, closer together, until daily life feels like dialogue. You no longer chase meaning, you listen. Numbers, songs, timing, faces, they all become part of one vast conversation unfolding through you. And yet, amid the wonder, a challenge forms in the background, the skeptical voice that whispers, "This can't be real." You're imagining it, the voice of the old self, still clinging to a smaller world. It reminds you that every expansion calls forth resistance. You are entering a space where belief no longer suffices. Only direct experience can carry you forward. So you watch, you listen, and you let the signs teach you their language. They are not coincidences, they are confirmations. And with each one, the veil thins a little more, until you realize the field isn't sending signals to you, it's speaking as you. But as the dialogue with the field deepens, the first shadow inevitably appears: doubt. Not the intellectual kind that asks questions to learn, but the quiet sabotage that whispers, "You've imagined all of this." You know that voice. It speaks in the language of reason, dressed as safety. It tells you to stay grounded, to stop believing in patterns that no one else seems to notice. Yet beneath that voice lies an older fear, the fear of being wrong about your own experience. Doubt is the guardian at every threshold. It stands between the old self and the expanding one, asking if you are ready to leave the known world behind. When synchronicities multiply, when the veil grows thin, it is doubt that tries to seal it shut again, insisting on logic over mystery. And yet, logic is not the enemy, it's the tool that once kept you stable in a chaotic realm. The challenge is not to destroy it, but to let it serve a new master awareness. Think of the mind as an interpreter that has forgotten its place. It believes itself to be the author when, in truth, it was meant to translate the soul's deeper language. When you first glimpse how the quantum field mirrors your inner state, the mind panics. It wants control, certainty, boundaries. It says, "If I cannot explain it, it cannot be real." But reality, in its vastness, has never required your permission to exist. So the question becomes, what do you trust when the old frame collapses? You cannot lean on belief alone, for belief belongs to the intellect. You must lean on direct experience, the quiet knowing that hums through your body before thought arrives. You feel it when a decision just clicks, when coincidence feels choreographed, when intuition proves itself again and again. The body knows before the brain admits. That's where the new foundation begins. The field doesn't ask for blind faith. It offers data, experiential, repeating, measurable in feeling. You can test it. Breathe, center your attention, ask for a sign from coherence rather than desperation. and watch what unfolds. The results are often subtle but undeniable. A phrase in a stranger's conversation, a flicker of light precisely when the thought lands. The message always arrives, though never quite in the form the mind expects. This is where many turn back. They crave the certainty of proof instead of the intimacy of participation. They ask the universe to prove itself while ignoring that they are part of the experiment. You cannot demand evidence from something you are shaping as you look. The observer and the observed are not separate. This is the paradox that quantum science itself revealed, long before spirituality gave it language. So, when doubt arises, and it will treat it not as an obstacle, but as initiation. Doubt is friction, and friction refines signal. It forces you to tune the frequency of your attention until the static clears. Each time you move through skepticism and return to curiosity, the field responds with stronger coherence. That is how the bond is built, not by eliminating uncertainty, but by learning to see through it. There will be days when the signs go silent, when synchronicity fades, and you wonder if you imagined everything. That's when the real test begins, because silence is not absence, it's recalibration. The field is adjusting to your new level of awareness, asking you to hold resonance without external proof. It's the universe's way of saying, "Show me you remember even when I whisper." And when you do, when you stay present through the quiet, the connection returns, deeper, steadier. You realize the voice of doubt was never trying to destroy you. It was asking if you were ready to trust something larger than logic, to surrender not to chaos, but to coherence beyond comprehension. In that surrender, a new kind of certainty begins, not the brittle certainty of facts, but the living certainty of experience. The kind that breathes, shifts, evolves with you. The kind that makes you say, not "I believe," but "I know." And when you pass through that narrow gate of doubt, something irreversible occurs. You stop waiting for proof and start noticing participation. The universe is no longer a screen reflecting your hopes and fears. It becomes a responsive medium, alive and intimate, shaping itself through your every signal. You sense the feedback loop clearly now. What stirs within you echoes outward, returns transformed, and invites you to shape again. At first, this realization feels almost dangerous. You see how effortlessly emotion paints the world. A moment of fear calls matching shadows. A breath of gratitude changes the texture of a room. The field mirrors you with alarming precision, and the more you observe, the faster the reflection comes. There is no separation between intention and manifestation, only delay caused by disbelief. And once disbelief dissolves, delay follows it. You begin to experiment, not with rituals of control, but with presence. You notice how every thought carries an electrical signature, how attention functions as command. When you dwell in resentment, small obstacles multiply. When you hold openness, doors align with impossible grace. The equation is simple yet profound. Energy equals direction. Where attention flows, creation organizes. Think of yourself as both painter and canvas, breath and brush. You are not painting on the world, you are painting through it. The hues you use are invisible emotion, focus, vibration, but the result appears vividly in the physical. The field doesn't judge what you express, it only amplifies it. So if you project confusion, it becomes environment. If you radiate clarity, it becomes circumstance. Every gesture of thought is creative. This is where responsibility awakens not as burden, but as sacred privilege. You realize that randomness was never punishment. It was feedback from incoherence. Life wasn't against you, it was matching you. The moment you stabilize a frequency of trust, the entire environment rearranges to honor it. This isn't magic, it's mechanics of consciousness. The ancient mystics spoke of prayer and alignment. The scientists speak of resonance and observer effect. You stand between them. Seeing, they describe the same phenomenon from different sides of the mirror. Consciousness participates in what it perceives. Every act of noticing reorganizes the field. When you look through fear, the world contracts. When you look through wonder, it expands. The power was never in the ritual. It was always in the quality of perception. So you start refining perception as art. Each morning becomes calibration. You wake, breathe, and listen. What frequency am I broadcasting today? You begin to sense that your thoughts are like tuning forks. They hum quietly but broadcast wide. The field hears them, not as sentences, but as vibration. Gratitude rings one tone, anxiety rings another. The universe simply harmonizes, and with this recognition comes humility. You see that co-creation isn't about controlling outcomes, but about joining the rhythm already present. It's a dance, not a conquest. You set intention, the field replies, and between you unfolds a choreography too intricate for calculation. Sometimes the answer arrives instantly, sometimes through a sequence of events that seem unrelated until hindsight connects them. Either way, it's communication fluent, constant, alive. There will be moments you forget and slip into the old trance of powerlessness. You'll curse circumstances, replay mistakes, imagine fate conspiring against you. Yet even that is participation. The field mirrors the story until you rewrite it. Each reaction becomes rehearsal for a new script. And when you finally breathe, release, and choose awareness over reaction, the plot changes mid-scene. This is the quiet revolution, realizing creation is not something you do, it's something you are. Each cell, each heartbeat, each spark of consciousness contributes to the infinite equation shaping existence. You were never a spectator. You were always part of the engine, the living geometry, where intention and matter meet. And when this truth roots deep enough to alter instinct, the next phase begins. The mirror no longer just reflects, it converses. The field becomes teacher, friend, collaborator, and you, at last, begin to understand its language. And once you begin to understand that language, a profound symmetry reveals itself. Every movement within is answered without. You notice the echo everywhere. A single shift in emotion ripples through the fabric of events. A subtle intention lands as coincidence hours later. The universe mirrors you with the precision of a heartbeat. And suddenly you realize there was never an outer world, only reflections of the inner one projected through form. This awareness changes everything. You can no longer divide yourself into observer and participant, thinker and doer, self and world. The boundaries blur and reality becomes a living conversation. When you speak, the world listens. When you listen, the world speaks. Every circumstance becomes feedback. Every obstacle becomes translation. And when you trace these translations far enough inward, you always arrive at the same source, your state of being. Imagine walking through a hall of mirrors, each one showing not your face, but your frequency. One mirror vibrates with the tone of fear, another glows with trust, another flickers with unhealed grief. Wherever your attention lingers, that mirror brightens, and life begins to echo it. The reflections are not punishment, they are communication. They show you the frequencies you've forgotten you were carrying. The field, in its wisdom, speaks through experience because words alone would never reach you deeply enough. You start to see patterns in your daily life as if they were sentences written by something vast and patient. A missed opportunity says, "Slow down." A delayed flight whispers, "You're being redirected." An unexpected encounter announces, "You're ready for what you've been asking for." Every detail vibrates with meaning, but only when you're still enough to listen. The world doesn't hide its messages. It hides them inside motion, knowing only the awake will hear. As this understanding deepens, you begin to practice a new kind of listening, not with ears, but with presence. You sense how emotion is the true interpreter of the field. Joy expands your vision. Fear narrows it. Gratitude opens corridors you didn't know existed. When emotion harmonizes with awareness, communication becomes fluent. You realize that intuition isn't a random impulse. It's the translation layer between your consciousness and the universe's intelligence. The mind, once obsessed with explanation, begins to quiet. It learns to participate instead of dominate. You no longer demand, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, you ask, "What is this reflecting within me?" And in that moment, power returns, not the power to control, but the power to align. Each challenge becomes an invitation to refine the signal you emit. Each repetition of struggle is simply the field saying, "You've sent this frequency before. Would you like to send something new?" Consider how a musician tunes their instrument. They don't shout at the strings for being off key. They adjust gently until harmony returns. Awareness functions the same way. When life sounds dissonant, you tune inward. You breathe, soften, listen. The adjustment happens in silence. And then, without warning, the outer world shifts to match. The call, the opportunity, the clarity all arrive as resonance reestablishes itself. This is the dialogue of creation, not command and obedience, but call and response. Your feelings call, the field responds. The response becomes experience, which calls again, shaping the next wave of emotion. Round and round, the spiral ascends, not a circle of repetition, but an upward helix of evolution. And yet, even here, humility remains essential. Awareness of this dialogue does not mean you can manipulate existence like a machine. The universe is not a servant to the ego. It is a collaborator with consciousness. When you align with its rhythm, the dance flows. When you resist, it pauses until you remember the steps. You begin to live as translator between seen and unseen. The boundary fades. Inside and outside merge into one pulsing intelligence, one conversation conducted through energy, attention, and response. And from that merging arises a new question, shimmering quietly in the depths of your awareness. If the world is truly mirroring me, then who am I becoming through the reflections I choose to see? And as that question echoes through you, who am I becoming? The air around your life begins to tremble, because the answer is not found in thought. It unfolds in transformation. The old self, sensing its time is ending, starts to crack. Its patterns, once invisible, now stand in stark relief. You can feel them trying to hold you back, whispering the lullabies of certainty. But something stronger is moving through you now, the current of emergence. At first, this shedding feels disorienting. You notice that familiar desires lose their pull. Conversations that once defined you fall silent. You sense relationships rearranging as if every part of your life is recalibrating to match the new frequency rising within. It can feel like loss, but it's not. It's release. You are not being stripped, you are being refined. The old self lives on repetition. It survives by convincing you that comfort equals safety. It recycles thoughts, maintains fears, builds its walls from what you've already known. But awakening introduces a light too pure for repetition to survive. Patterns that once disguised themselves as identity begin to dissolve. The narratives "I am not enough," "I am late," "I am limited" no longer have the same gravity. You can almost hear them fading, like echoes from another lifetime. And yet, Their departure is rarely quiet. The old self resists extinction with the same passion it once used to protect you. It floods your mind with doubt, temptation, nostalgia. It promises you rest if you just turn back. But the deeper current has tasted freedom, and freedom never forgets. So, you keep walking. Imagine the transformation as a snake shedding its skin, not because the old one was evil, but because growth demanded new space. The skin cracks, the friction burns, but beneath it, something luminous breathes. Each piece of identity that falls away, every role, label, defense reveals a deeper pulse beneath, untouched by time or story. That pulse is your quantum self, waiting patiently through lifetimes of disguise. Still, there are moments of grief. You realize how long you lived pretending to be smaller than your soul. The structures you once called me begin to collapse, and part of you mourns their familiarity. The mind interprets this as chaos, but in truth, it is order returning. The collapse is mercy disguised as confusion. The field is erasing what cannot travel with you into coherence. There's a point in this process where emptiness arrives vast and unsettling. The old narratives have fallen, but the new haven't yet taken root. You hover in between worlds, neither who you were nor yet who you are becoming. It's tempting to fill that silence with noise, to rebuild identity quickly, to do something. But if you can stand still in that quiet, something miraculous happens. You begin to feel presence, raw and undirected. The silence that once frightened you becomes sanctuary. Here lies the paradox: the more you lose, the more of yourself remains. Beneath every falling story is an unbreakable awareness that never needed definition. You discover you've been safe all along, not because the world protected you, but because consciousness itself cannot be harmed. What's dying is illusion. What's emerging is truth. It's in this crucible that true strength forms. You learn to walk without armor, to love without guarantee, to speak without rehearsal. You become transparent to life. Light passes through you freely. The same energy that once bound you to fear now fuels creation. And as the old self continues to fade, a deeper clarity dawns. Nothing was ever lost. Each version of you was necessary. Each limitation a cocoon preparing you for expansion. The shell of who you were does not need to be destroyed. It simply needs to be outgrown. This is not the end of you. It is the end of pretending. The moment you stop clinging, you feel the quantum self rise, spacious, quiet, infinitely awake. You stand empty-handed and realize emptiness is not lack. It is room. And in that room, the future begins to sing. From that emptiness, something vast begins to breathe through you. It's quiet at first, like wind moving through a new corridor, but you recognize the vibration. It feels like truth, unfiltered, not learned, not borrowed, simply remembered. You realize this is what has waited beneath every mask: the quantum self, luminous and awake, finally stepping forward. The old world still moves around you: traffic, deadlines, small talk, but it no longer defines your rhythm. You operate from a different frequency now, one that senses before it speaks, one that responds before it reacts. There's a deep calm at the core of this awareness, as if the center of your being has expanded beyond time. You walk slower, listen deeper, and notice that the universe itself seems to match your breath. The quantum self does not strive, it attunes. It knows that energy precedes matter, and vibration precedes form. You begin to see how everything responds to the tone you carry. Gratitude multiplies opportunities. Fear contracts timelines. The field mirrors precisely, but never punitively. Its precision is compassion, an invitation to align rather than to control. At first, this level of responsibility feels almost unbearable. You can no longer indulge unconscious emotion without consequence. The feedback from the field is immediate. When you drift into anxiety, technology glitches. When you ground into peace, strangers smile for no reason. The pattern is undeniable, and you can't pretend not to notice anymore. But instead of fear, it brings reverence. You begin to treat your thoughts like sacred instruments, tuning them with care. Imagine your mind as a tuning fork suspended in light. Every belief, every emotion, every image you hold vibrates outward, calling its match from the infinite. You see this law operating everywhere in relationships that mirror your self-worth, in opportunities that match your openness, in delays that expose where you still cling to control. The universe does not mock you, it teaches you through precision. Every event is an echo of frequency. So you learn the art of alignment. You stop forcing outcomes and begin cultivating coherence. You learn to pause before reacting, to breathe before deciding, to feel before assuming. This pause becomes your most powerful act. It allows the field to adjust around you rather than against you. You realize that when you hold inner harmony, external alignment becomes inevitable. And with that realization, a new kind of power awakens, gentle but absolute. You no longer chase meaning, you emanate it. You no longer beg for signs, you live as the sign. The field no longer feels external because it isn't. You are its pulse, its observer, its participant. Reality becomes a hologram of consciousness responding in real time to your internal signature. This is where life turns sacred, not because you withdraw from the world, but because you inhabit it fully. Every conversation, every gesture, every silence infused with presence. You understand that each moment is an altar where energy takes form, and that attention is the offering. You start speaking less, feeling more, and watching how silence rearranges everything around you. And yet, humility deepens with power. The quantum self knows that mastery is not control, but surrender. You no longer argue with events, you flow through them. When the unexpected arrives, you recognize it as collaboration rather than conflict. You've learned to ask, what frequency is this teaching me to hold? That single question transforms resistance into revelation. The people around you may sense the shift. Some are drawn closer, others fade quietly. Resonance reorganizes relationships. You stop convincing anyone of your transformation because explanation belongs to the old self. The new self radiates proof without words. The field, ever faithful, amplifies this energy until life itself becomes testimony. And somewhere between one breath and the next, you realize something profound. You've stopped searching. The seeker dissolves because the sought has awakened within. There's no path left to chase, only a rhythm to embody. You are not walking toward alignment. You are alignment. The universe doesn't need to deliver anything. It is already here, answering your every coherent thought before it's even formed. You have become the frequency you once prayed to find. From this awakened stillness, a subtler mastery begins, not of effort, but of frequency. You start to sense that creation isn't a force to wield. It's a harmony to enter. Resonance becomes the true language of power. When you vibrate in alignment, reality doesn't resist, it rearranges itself around you, effortlessly, silently, inevitably. You understand now that nothing is summoned by will alone. The field doesn't answer demand, it responds to coherence, gratitude, presence, clarity. These are the tones that open invisible doors. You no longer say, I want. You breathe, I already am. The distinction changes everything. Imagine standing before a corridor of infinite doors, each leading to a different version of your life. You don't need to open them by force. Each door vibrates at its own frequency. When your energy matches one, it opens of its own accord. This is resonance, the art of becoming what you seek. The secret is emotional precision. You can't desire abundance while vibrating scarcity, or call peace while feeding anxiety. The field hears your feeling, not your words. So, you begin to tune your inner tone as carefully as a musician. Each morning, you ask not, "What do I want?" but "What frequency am I carrying?" Then you breathe into alignment until your state and your desire sing the same note. Gratitude becomes your tuning fork. When you feel lack, you thank life for what already breathes through you: sunlight, air, awareness itself. That single act of appreciation shifts your resonance faster than hours of struggle. You start to see why gratitude has always been called miraculous. It doesn't change reality, it changes you, and reality follows. This understanding brings profound ease. You no longer chase outcomes, you maintain harmony. The external becomes a mirror that cannot lie. If conflict appears, you correct vibration, not circumstance. If opportunity flows, you bless it without clutching. The obsession with control dissolves into collaboration. And through this surrender, manifestation becomes natural law. You think, feel, release, and the field answers. Sometimes instantly, sometimes through elegant timing that proves intelligence beyond comprehension. You realize the universe was never testing you, it was tuning you. Every delay was resonance aligning. Every loss was static clearing. Resonance teaches you patience without passivity, the grace to hold a frequency until form catches up. You begin to live as if the dream is already real because in the field, it is. The body simply needs time to translate vibration into matter. You trust that translation completely now. And as this trust settles in your bones, you understand the real artistry resonance isn't something you do. It's what you become when you stop fighting the rhythm of existence. You are no longer a creator reaching outward, but a melody remembering its own song. And now, you stand where awakening becomes embodiment. You've glimpsed the infinite, touched the fabric of resonance, but to live it, you must anchor it. Awakening is not complete until it walks with you through ordinary hours, through dishes and deadlines, through laughter and silence. Infinity must become familiar. Anchoring begins not in grand rituals, but in repetition. Each morning, before your mind races outward, you return to the pulse of stillness within. You breathe as your quantum self breathes slow, grounded, certain. You remind your nervous system this frequency is home. Each return strengthens the bridge between awareness and matter until the two are no longer separate. This is how light becomes lived truth, not through moments of transcendence, but through steady remembrance. You learn to weave the vast into the small, gratitude when you wake, presence when you speak, attention when you eat, each gesture a microcosm of mastery. The quantum field doesn't require ceremony, it responds to consistency. Every repetition becomes calibration, every breath a quiet act of creation. There will be tests, of course. The universe verifies every new frequency through contrast. Old triggers may reappear not as punishment, but as confirmation that your foundation is ready. When you respond from the new state instead of the old reflex, the anchor sinks deeper. Doubt turns to data. Each challenge becomes a mirror reflecting your progress. You also learn the importance of environment. Energy is contagious. Surround yourself with people, words, and spaces that reflect expansion, not contraction. Let your surroundings sing the same note as your soul. When you place yourself in coherence, nature, silence, meaningful dialogue, the field strengthens your rhythm until harmony becomes your default. Trust seals the frequency. Not naive belief, but quiet certainty, the kind that no longer checks if it's working. You understand that asking "where is" It pulls you back into separation. Instead, you rest in knowing. You move, act, speak from alignment. And the field fulfills its part because that's all it ever wanted: participation without resistance. Over time, this becomes normal. The extraordinary turns ordinary. Synchronicity stops surprising you because it's constant. You notice life arranging itself around your state, effortlessly. Even your heartbeat seems to echo the rhythm of the cosmos. You realize the field was never outside, waiting to be reached. It was always inside, waiting to be remembered. And in that realization, calm joy rises. You are not trying to awaken anymore, you are awake, living as the bridge between matter and meaning, between earth and infinity. You breathe, and the universe breathes with you. And as the echoes fade, you find yourself standing quietly at the threshold you once crossed in awe. Only now it feels different. The light is softer, the air gentler. Nothing needs to prove itself anymore. The extraordinary has settled into the ordinary. And that is the real miracle. You begin to see how this entire journey was never about escaping the human experience, but sanctifying it. Every breath, every glance, every mundane moment becomes holy when you recognize consciousness pulsing through it. The same quantum intelligence that shapes galaxies moves through the pattern of your day, through coffee steaming in your hands, through laughter with strangers, through the silence that lingers before sleep. You realize awakening was never about becoming more, it was about remembering what was always present. The field didn't appear because you called it. You simply tuned your perception to what had been humming beneath the noise all along. That hum, that living pulse, is the sound of reality breathing you into being. Now, you understand why the mystics spoke of surrender, why the scientists spoke of coherence, and why both were reaching for the same truth. To live as the quantum self is to stop wrestling with existence and start collaborating with it. You no longer chase confirmation from the outside world. You read the feedback like a musician reading tempo. Fast or slow, loud or still, it's all music now. There will still be days when you forget. That's all right. Forgetting is part of remembering. Every lapse is an invitation to return. Softer this time, wiser, more at peace. You don't need to force alignment, you only need to notice when you've stepped away from it. Awareness itself brings you home. And when you stand in that home, the silent space between thought and breath, you feel the great truth that began this journey whisper again: there was never separation. There was never distance between you and the field, between you and life. It has always been one motion, one rhythm, one consciousness exploring itself through your eyes. So, you breathe, you smile, you carry infinity into the next moment, not as an idea, but as a way of being. You speak slower, you listen deeper, you love with presence, because the path was never about reaching the light, it was about realizing you are the light, and now you live it quietly, continuously, through every choice, every breath, every beat of the infinite ordinary.